Minister Benoy Choudhury, you were just telling me that you are now 82 years and 6 months old. Can you tell me when you joined the Communist Party?
Formally, I joined the Communist Party in 1938 after coming out of the jail. But I am associated with it from early 30s. Many of the old, Muzaffar Ahmed and Abdul Halim and many others. And one of my friend, Saroj Mukherjee, he became a member in 1932. But though I became a member formally in 1938, but I took classes in Marxism and Leninism from 35 onwards in jail.
And this was not long after Meerut conspiracy trial, which was what, 29?
29.
How was the party organized in those days? Because it was illegal, I take it.
No. Actually, party was illegal. And only after 42, 17th August, it was because previously we had to work under the cover of Kishan Sabha, mass organization. Party as such was illegal. And only after 1942, 17th August or so far I remember, it was legalized. And even then, after sometimes, you see, after the Telangana struggle, in 1948 March, again it was banned. And again we had to go underground and also.
Can you explain to me why you became a communist? What was the thing that made you a communist?
Because you see, from my early, because before that, my first association with the political movement is with the Bengal revolutionary movement. You know, there was the Bengal revolutionary, and actually I was a member of that organization. There are two important organizations, Jugantar and Onushilan. I was a member of Jugantar party. And there the motive was to make India independent from the foreign rule. And during my work in the countryside, I found that the vast majority of the peasantry, they are the worst sufferer for this exploitation. So, and gradually we realized the problem that there are so many people in the Congress, especially it dawned on me in the early 1932, because after the first spate of civil disobedience movement in 1930, I was also in the Congress along with that revolutionary movement. And I was the first who violated the salt law in my town, and I was also convicted for that for 6 months. And then, after the failure of the Round Table Conference, when again the movement started in 1932, then there was some local confiscation of property and all that. And so, against that, Congress started a movement of non-payment of taxes. But taxes at that time, you see, as you know, from 1929 to 33, that great world crisis was there. And at that time, the price of the paddy came very low, sometimes even below 2 rupees a month. And so, actually, they had to pay, and the rent quantum is more than the tax. Tax is very insignificant, but the rent is more. For present, it is the more burden. And so we asked, why, along with the tax, why this should not be conducted? But they didn't allow. And then we realized that many of the leaders of the Congress, they themselves are landlords. As you know, in 1973, considering everything of our old heritage, you see, everything was gone by. And then they introduced, Lord Cornwallis in 1793, this permanent settlement. Later on, when they are firmly entrenched in India, they did not extend this thing in other part of. They had their rightory system was there, directly tenant under there. But here, to build up an intermediary section completely dependent on British, to make a social base of their foreign rule here, they created this domindar. So, then we found that unless and until the Congress at that time, according to our perception, that it is an anti-imperialist front consisting of so many people. The big industrialists are there, small industrialists are there, peasants are there, then students, youths, and many other people are there. And each have their own organization. But here, the peasantry, they are barred from forming their own organization. As a matter of fact, the Jamindars, they have the British Indian Association, Landholders Association and all that. Even they had the presentation in round table conference, all that. But this section was denied. And whenever we raised that question, then they used to say that you are bringing split within the national movement. Then I raised the question, why you form the another? If you are allowed to form Landholders Association in spite of the presence of the Congress, then why the vast majority of the peasantry, who constitute 73% of the population, why they should not be allowed to have their own organization?
And you mentioned you had Marxism, Leninism classes in jail.
Now, yes, because you see, that is everywhere. Not only that, even for your information, and you must be knowing that after that movement in 30s, then Jawaharlal himself, he had to write articles in 1934 in the National Herald, a paper published by himself, you see, and withered India. And then from the Congress, a large section of people, they also realized that without this some sort of a socialism, because that idea gradually creeping in, not only in others, you see, not only the Bengal revolutionaries, but even among them. And that is why the formation of Congress Socialist Party in 1930. Jayaprakash Narayan, Achyuta Menon, Aruna Ashapali, a very galaxies of, and one of the leading person was Acharya Narendra Dev. He was an eminent scholar, and he was the head of the Kashi Vidyapith.
Sometimes the Communist Party came close to supporting insurrection, Telangana, another instance. Why did the Communist Party of India change from supporting insurrection to a parliamentary democratic road?
No. The point is, you see, all these things, it is not one-way track, you see, because our perception is that a party which is placed for the liberation, ultimate liberation, because previously, supposing before independence, the independence was the prime necessity. Along with that, social justice to all other sections constituting India. So independent plus, and as a matter of fact, as you know, M&I, he in 1930 end, when there was a Karachi 31 Karachi Congress, there the fundamental resolution of Congress that was drafted by him along with Jawaharlal Nehru and others, you see, and there also this thing, because independence will have no meaning unless and until after being freed from the foreign rule, overwhelming majority of the people, they do not get social justice in their sphere of life and other things. Because after independence, if the control goes to the people, a section of people in India who are exploiting the other section, so who will be the ruling party? Everywhere you see, our perception that in all previously the colonial countries, the character of the movement during the independence period, during the fight for coming out of the foreign yoke, all sections of people are there. And then as soon as that freedom is achieved, then the exploiting class in every country, they came to the power and they became the worst oppressor of because for their own interest, you see, they want to subdue the other section whom they want to exploit.
Are you saying that the Congress government was worse than British rule?
No, that is not my point. That is your supposition. It is after, it is not. But my point is, you see, that my point is that our main objective from the common people that who is exploiting, whether he is our countryman or he is a foreigner. That is not the point. Point is ultimately after winning that, then the problem everywhere you see, everywhere after independence, that problem comes up. They will try to control everything, and they will try, even in the name of welfare countries, some palliatives here and there, they may be forced to do, and when this crisis is aggravated, then that too can be taken up as even in England today. Can you say that the hard-earned social security measures that has been taken, that has been cut down to that everywhere, even in America, even in everywhere, they cannot afford to continue that thing. So that is the matter. The point is here, then on the test should be social justice to others. And so I was molded in that. And from there on, I thought, as a matter of fact, that as a fact that in 1932, after that thing, as I told you, that why rent should not be in that period, when the peasantry is not able to get, and at that time they became very much indebted. Most of their property was auctioned at that time. So that is the crying need of the peasantry, but that was not being done. So we thought that, and in UP, in every places also, even some section of it. And then I began Kishan movement from that one onwards, you see. And then in 1936, in the Congress platform, you see, Lucknow Congress was held in Lucknow in 1936, and there the All India Kishan Sabha was formed, and many of the old congressmen also were there. Shahjahan Saraswati, some of the UP, Gautam and other things, they are also there. So many of them, and even Jawaharlal Nehru had their support to them. They are also in the trade union movement also. Even here in India, trade union movement was somehow or other fostered by ILO in 1920 as far as. But because you see, after that is the impact of 1917 revolution. And then they are intelligent enough to see that unless and until things here are kept below the boiling point, things may be worst. So some nemesis may come. So that they began, you see, and by some barristers and others, they come. Then there are certain, then Jawaharlal Nehru, Subhash Bose, they also became in 27, 28, 29, president of the AITUC and all that. The federation, they went away from that, the reformist section. Even after the Second World War, when the 1/3 of the world go to other side, then your Bevin boys, they also understood the indication of the history. And then they said that unless and until the organized sector of the industry, they are sufficiently bribed and satisfied, they cannot keep. And so, in some way or other, they also, I had a long back, you see, I had a fortune to meet one Lothar. He was the president of Miners Federation. Will Lothar, I met him. And that's also because, due to this, because as from colony, they could get enough from their exploitation, enough money to give concession at home to the laborer. So sometimes they are also interested that this thing, where they are not so anti-imperialist.
But let me ask you, during the late 30s and the 40s...
As you know also that once you see British Communist Party, to show their sincerity for the cause of the working class in other countries, especially in their own colonies, they had to help in the movement. And one of the pioneers and those who are being arrested in the Mirat conspiracy case, Spratt, Bradley and Hutchinson, these are the three, they are also been convicted. And highest conviction was given to Spratt.
Did you know Raji Pamdat?
Huh? Yes, sir. I know because he was for so long the editor of the and one of the leading light and intellectual also. Even in Cambridge, he was so many typos in many subjects. I have even in second party congress of our in Calcutta in 1948. You see, Harry Palit also came and he addressed. That is a marvelous speaker. 100. He spoke for 1.5 hours in this, not at that time the Brigade Parade Ground, but near Octogonal Monument. Well, it was a very good speech, and he prepared that speech very ably.
So the British Communist Party was providing guidance for the
Yes,
Indian Communists?
that is no, yes, some party, because that is nothing wrong in it, because if they're sincere, because they are also fighting the same. We are fighting communists in Britain and communists all over the world. They are fighting the same imperialism everywhere. And as you
Tell me about the split in 1964. What was the cause of that split in the Indian Communist Party?
that is, you see, it is for you, that is not for asking any and every people, you see. For that, our authentic documents are there. Our party Congress report in 64 and that. Because you see, in India, after the independence, after some time, there is a question, the character of the government of India. And who is the leader of this government? And our perception and characterization and everything, as according to the communist, their methodology of, and their dialectical materialist study, that they don't, out of their own brain, put up certain ideas. They had to scientifically analyze the experience of their life of the various sections of the people. And from that they will have to, what they are professing is not the actual thing. What actually they are doing, that we will have to analyze. And so, from the very activities of the government, we came to the conclusion the character of the Congress government is that it is a government of the, say, bourgeois class and feudal class, headed by the monopoly bourgeoisie. And they are increasingly collaborating with the foreign capital. And that is established by the facts of life. Before independence in India, only according to the report of Reserve Bank of India in 1948 June, 256 crores of foreign capital was invested in India. And as a matter of fact, at that time, 80-90% is British capital. Now, it is much bigger, much bigger. And so, after independence, this is being, and not only that, the policy they have taken that to develop our economy and our everything, they are taking loan for the foreign. And we don't believe that the big capitalist countries, or the imperialist countries, they are for charity. They are all Christian missionary people, and they are for charity everywhere. That giving the doles to the poorer section in the name of Jesus Christ. That is not there. It is that they want, especially after the Second World War, they are more in need of controlling this market for their own industries there. And that has also been established by the facts of life. Because you see, the international market is now completely under their grip. And so they manipulate that in a manner that the raw materials and other things which they take it, we don't get the actual price of that. That is underpriced. And whatever they are selling, either it is our consumer goods or our capital goods or other thing, technology, everything, that is also much dearer. This is, in a matter, everything, this foreign trade is rather manipulated in their favor. And if we take the figure that in a year, how much exploitation is, but through this exploitation, the 7 big parties, that's called the G7, they're the leading lights of the GATT. Actually, they are receiving quite a sum of money. Only a fraction of it, they are investing in the colonial countries in the name of aid. Aid is nothing, loan with interest. Initially, the interest were more government to government, initial rate are now mostly are commercial. Because you see, that was why everywhere there was a talk, aid with string. As you know, when you are for fishing, then a hook with certain bait is there, and then there is no escape of it. Now everybody, Brazil, Argentina, now we were very much in that grip, very much in there. Can you see why? Is it independence now? That for an independent country, their budget, that will be dictated by World Bank and International Monetary Fund. All these things, how can it be done? This, and we know nobody is nowadays. You see, people are not so full. They know what are the conditionalities, and they know the memorandum submitted by them. Everything. We know also this finance minister, our Manmohan Singh, when he was Secretary General of the South countries, his memorandum is there, where as Secretary General of the South countries, what he said that time, what he wrote, he is doing exactly the opposite.
Let me put to you, if I may, something that one of your political opponents said. I was talking...
No, this is not the political opponent. No. The point is, you see, when you are taking interview, you will have my own perception of the whole thing.
But something that I was talking to Mamata Banerjee yesterday, and talking to her about the CPM, of which she is critical as a political opponent, and she said that all the CPM leaders have forgotten their communism. They've forgotten the people's struggle, except Benoy Choudhury, she said.
No.
True communist.
No, that is also sometimes, you see, they pick up somebody to... And I am not a person of 82 years old to be flattered by that. Well, I know, because you see, rather when Bush gives some certificate, well, then you say this is the only sensible man in the Gorbachev. And everybody in the world now seeing the plight of Soviet. Everybody now. Well,
so you think Gorbachev was wrong?
Actually, history will say, who I mean to say. Everything, all persons will be ultimately judged, not by any persons, however eminent he may be, however big scholar he may be. History will give the ultimate victory for every person and that doing.
So you think Marxism, Leninism will still triumph?
Yes, that Marxism, Leninism is not a dead science. It is not like other scripture. It is not a Bible. Well, it is ever-growing science. The science develops from Newton to Einstein. So here also, even our perception is, we believe that nobody is so here that he can see the future far ahead. That is not possible. Everybody can analyze scientifically their own experience, their own things which are already there, and they are interacting with that, and then they will find out that. And then other things, in Marx, imperialism, that was developed by Lenin, because during Marx's Capital 4 volume, you see, you will get that thing, but that was only that time the concentration, law of concentration of capital, law of centralization of capital, the tendencies of monopoly is never. And then when that stage came, then that was developed by. In fact, Marxist party's conception, as it is have been done by what is to be done and other, because that time the revolution was not in that way as in the first communist manifesto was loose. There was Bakunin, there was Louis Blanc, there were so many various types of people like that. Gradually, and there was also world experience. Everybody will acceptability and everything. That also gradually with the experience it came. First international, then finished, then second international, then war, then the all other, and then 1993 international. Such a particular certain. That's all also been. Then this collaboration and other things. Everything is going on.
I want to talk to you briefly about land reform as well. Has the land reform proposals of the Left-Front government been successful?
No, the point is, you see, successful is not an absolute term. It is, in my opinion, because you see, I am very much conscious about this, that we are working under various constraints within the four corners of the present constitution. And the power where is more concentrated in the hand of the central government. This is very much, previously, so we would not have been allowed to continue for so much. But this time, you see, for a changed situation, and still we have grave doubt.
I must stop you.
Land under
Can you tell me what the Land to the Tiller program means? What does the slogan mean? What has been achieved?
The point is, you see, that we have no illusion that under the present constitution and the constant, we could achieve thoroughgoing land revolution as it could be done after revolution when we are supreme and we could do anything. Because here, anything we do, we'll have to send it to central government for their approval and all that. And so that is it. The point is that taking into consideration all these constraints, the achievement which we have done here is quite considerable. Point is that in West Bengal, I will give you 2-3 figures. In West Bengal, our land under cultivation is